Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first official episode of our podcast. My name is Devin.
I'm Josiah.
And on this episode, we're going to talk about a project that we just came off of, along with some box office news and information, and some film news. We hope you enjoy, and welcome to the Circle That podcast. Welcome, everybody, to the Circle That podcast. My name is Devin Morano.
And I'm Josiah Vaughn.
And welcome to the first official episode of the Circle That podcast.
Yeah.
He was fixing his earbuds.
I was
All
moving.
right, so to start off this episode, we're going to go right into the quick take. If you were listening to the intro, that's what we ended off on the intro episode. So let's go right into a quick take. And on this one, we're going to talk about the Lost Boys. So Josiah, take it away.
So, we need our timer.
Oh, we do need our timer. How unprofessional are we? We had it all locked down on the first one. How?
All right.
Let me see this.
I got a hand on my phone.
All right.
Cool.
For everybody that doesn't know, you have 60 seconds on the timers to get.
Wait, before we do our quick say, so we need to do a summary of what it is.
The Lost Boys?
Yeah.
I can do it without Wikipedia.
Okay,
I can do it.
Do it.
I don't know the year. Say the year. It's 1980.
87.
87. So in 1987, a film called The Lost Boys was released. It's about brothers that moved to Santa Barbara, I think it is, or
Santa Monica.
It's Santa.
You're thinking of Psych.
I am thinking about Psych. Santa Monica.
Yeah.
And they kind of hate it at first, but the older brother Michael finds these group of friends who finds out to be vampires, and they trick him into being one of the vampires, and he struggles between human and vampires because he's kind of like a half vampire-ish, they kind of explain. And you find out that the vampires are taking Michael around and playing with his head because they're trying to turn him into a real vampire. So
For a second, when you said playing with his head, I thought, in my head, I was like seeing them kick his head around like a soccer ball.
They do
really
mind
confused.
tricks on him, and they like talk to him in his head and say that he's eating bugs while he's just eating regular Chinese food. So they play with him and they try to get him to turn into a real vampire, but his younger brother finds these two other brothers who help protect them from vampires in a sense. So they get the younger brother all the details on how to defeat vampires, what they don't like, and they find this information out from comic books. And you find out that through all their preparation stuff, they actually go and defeat the vampires and save the older brother from turning into a vampire.
Amazing. What a great summary.
I know,
They didn't even need Wikipedia.
They didn't even need Wikipedia.
All right, start my timer.
And timer is started.
So I loved The Lost Boys. I haven't seen that many 80s movies, but I do like them, and it was another 80s movies to see. And I had also never seen a vampire movie before. Okay, I'd seen 80s movies before, but I hadn't seen a vampire movie before. And it was pretty fire. It was pretty weird, but also like in a good way, like a lot of good wacky fun. I absolutely loved. What's the more confident of the two friends that come help him?
The Frog Brothers?
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot what their names are.
That one actor, he's like
Corey
the main
Feldman?
one. Yeah, I loved him in it. He was so freaking good. Also, score. I listened to the whole score on the way home, and it was so freaking good. The vibes were so on point. So yeah, great score, great, super fun film. The twist at the end, I almost didn't see coming, but then I did. So it almost got me, but not quite. So yeah, great movie.
All right, and now it's time for my take. So you started my time already. Great day. So I was the one that actually introduced Josiah to the Lost Boys because I used the Lost Boys for my film that we just wrapped up on as inspiration and kind of a guide on what the vibes I was going for in a sense. I love the Lost Boys. It's one of my top 5 80s movies. And I watched it when I was younger as a kid with my father, and it just gets better every time I see it. It does get a little wackier every time I see it at the same time because you're like, wow, that is an interesting way to do things. But I love it. I think it's a great film. I think if you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. It's not scary or anything. It's just a fun time. It can kind of classify as a horror movie in a sense, but kind of not. It's more of an adventurous,
It's more like comedy thriller
film. So
because it's got some. I'm sorry, I'm taking up your time.
yeah, you're taking up my time. This is my time, Josiah.
You get an extra 5 seconds.
But I love the film. I think everybody should go check it out if you haven't. And yeah, that's my take on it.
It's got some fun like practical gags, but nothing truly scary.
Yeah, nothing truly scary.
Something maybe a little gross, but like not really. Not
but
that bad at all.
in gross in a sense,
it's
not
like
even
funny
like
gross.
crazy.
It's like not. Yeah,
it's not like
actually
oh wow,
disturbing
that's
at all.
much.
It's honestly funny.
But yeah, all right, Josiah. So what's going on in the film world?
So this week in film, I'm gonna talk about some gear stuff because I'm a gearhead. People are finally getting the Blackmagic Pixis in hand, which you guys don't know is basically. So Blackmagic a while back came out with the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K, which is the body of a Cinema Camera 6K Pro, but it's got a like large format, well not large format, but full frame sensor in it. And it's really awesome. And the Pixis is just that same camera internals, but inside of a square body, very similar to a Red. It's like a box camera, basically. It was been very anticipated, and people are finally getting it. I saw some reviews, and it looks actually really awesome. And it's only $3,000. I thought it was like $5K. It's only $3,000. Like that's not bad at all.
That's not bad for a camera like that.
I really want one, and I may get one. We'll see. But it's like basically just the ergonomics of a Red, but it has a screen built in, which is really nice. But obviously it's meant to be rigged, and so yeah. Also, speaking of Red just dropped their prices on their Komodo cameras. So their full frame Komodo X 6K just dropped from $10,000 to $7,000, so a $3,000 price drop. And the Komodo Super 35 version, also 6K, dropped from $6,000 to $5,000, so a $1,000 price drop. So people that are into Red cameras are now really hyped about that, and it honestly lowered the barrier to entry to get into Red if that's something you want to do. Also, like for half that, you could get a Blackmagic Pixis. I'm just saying, but you lose on some dynamic range. All right, Devin, talk us through what's going on in the box office this week.
So the box office, there's actually a lot of films that are coming out. First thing is Megalopolis, which was a film that was supposed to come out in the 80s that now came out now, was actually a flop. And a lot of people were saying that they were excited for it because, again, took around 40 years to come out, but there was no marketing for the film. And then when people went and actually saw it, it just wasn't an enjoyable movie from what I've seen.
I mean, if it takes you 40 years to make a movie, you're probably doing something wrong, right?
Probably. So I can't give so much information about it. Just the articles that I'm seeing do say that Megalopolis is not doing great. But a film that is doing great is The Wild Robot. It is actually #1 in the box office currently. And it took over Transformers 1 for animation. And we'll get into Transformers 1 soon. But The Wild Robot apparently is a must-see from DreamWorks.
It's DreamWorks?
It is DreamWorks.
That's awesome.
They are saying it's bringing old ThemeWorks vibes back when DreamWorks was kind of a competitor with Disney, because DreamWorks did kind of fall off there for a second because you didn't hear much about it. They did have Puss in Boots come out, which everybody did love. But now they're saying they swung and hit a home run with this one. So definitely go check out The Wild Robot, as it is #1 in the box office. So a little bit of Transformers 1 information. At first, critics were very skeptical about the movie because there's been 12 Transformers movies already. But it did cost around, from what I've saw, $200 million to make. And the box office only brought around, from this article that I'm reading right now, the first week that it came out, it only brought around $70 million. So they are saying that Transformers 1 is a flop, but the critic scores are around a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the audience scores around a 95%.
Oh, really? So they're both up.
People are liking it.
But just not so it's a promotion problem. Not enough people know about it. I didn't know about it until you told me about it.
I can definitely see it's a promotion problem because I have seen a lot, because I'm a huge Transformers fan, so of course I'm the target audience they're going for. But if I wasn't a Transformers fan, I could also see how you would never hear about it.
I've literally seen nothing or heard nothing about it except the poster I saw at the theater the other day when I was with you guys.
Right.
And you told me what it was. I had literally never heard of it until then.
And then another bad thing is because another animation movie just came out with The Wild Robot, that's taking over Transformers 1 fans, because when you have two animation movies kind of battling it out in a sense,
fair.
It's like, oh, well, there is Transformers, which a lot of like older generations are going to want to watch, but then there's this new movie that everybody's going to want to watch because it's new and fresh and it's not taking old IP in a sense.
That's
so
fair. That's fair.
that's what's going on in the box office recently.
Dude, reused IP is getting out of control.
Yeah,
It's kinda crazy.
I don't like how
Like I get Transformers is like a huge thing, so people that's like an IP that can still be expanded, but still.
But
like,
also,
we
I
need
don't
new
like
IP.
how other IPs, just like how Beetlejuice, how it takes 40 years or 30 years for a sequel to come out. And
Yeah.
it's like you could have created another idea in that
They
time.
wait for the nostalgia to set in.
They definitely do, and then they try to capitalize it for
Profit.
capital gain.
Exactly. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to the core of our episode tonight, which is going to be a little debrief with Devin on his short film that we just wrapped on last week. So, Devin, give us a quick little sneak peek into the story of what this is. Don't give us a whole summary, but give us a little snippet for us to know.
So, The Lost Ones is a film that takes place in the 80s. How convenient. And it's about two brothers, also how convenient, who are going to summer camp. And the older brother, it's like his fourth time going. He's been there. And the younger brother, it's his first time, so he's really excited to get to camp. And you find out that there's actually something more at camp than expected. And the younger brother goes missing. And the older brother has to go find him. And you have to wait and see if he finds him or not.
Wow.
So that's
Amazing.
kind of a little sneak peek up into the film.
So what we kind of want to go through with his thesis film and also probably other thesis films as we work on more of them throughout the semester is kind of just break down how set went. We don't have to go through every single little detail, but just kind of go through different moments. So like Devin, it was obviously a lot, but like, did any particular moment stand out to you as like best moment or most memorable moment?
There was definitely a lot of moments that was memorable or quote unquote best in a sense. There's this one specific scene where I'm not going to say what the scene is, but the way we shot it was very exciting to me because it's definitely something that when you watch it, it's like, whoa, how did they get that? So that was kind of the best moment, I would say, because it was a lot of people coming up with great ideas on how to accomplish the exact shot we were going after, and really taking the time that we took paid off because when you watch it, it's like, oh yeah, this is definitely something that's going to play with people's minds, but really hook them in because they're going to be like, wait, what did I just watch? So that what I would say was the favorite moment.
That, so that big scene, we took 3 days to film it, and we would go home, not go home, but go to the lab at Liberty after shooting, and we'd actually edit it together because we had to see if what we were doing was working, like in real time, to know whether we needed to reshoot everything, and we did need to reshoot stuff, so we're glad we did that. But on the last day it was second to last day when we had the bulk of the scene, and we went home and we edited it, and we had some VFX shots, and we did quick comps on those. And in the lab, we were literally screaming out of joy because we were like, "Oh my gosh, this actually works, and it looks so freaking good!" And like, I don't know, it was just a really cool moment to finally get to that first point to where you really see it together for the very first time. This idea that you've had for so long, it was really exciting in that moment to like. Yeah.
It's actually exciting for me because, as you know, Josiah, I've been kind of working on this project for 3 years. Like I've been writing it for around 3 years, and finally like making it into a live picture where you're actually watching these characters that you've sat down with in a sense and created and made decisions for, and just to see them as real human beings in a sense is actually great. And then, like you were saying, we were editing and watching it with this particular scene. It was complicated in a good way where we had to go edit it and make sure we were covering everything and made sure it made sense and take our time with it. So it was just great for me as a director and a writer to be like, wow, I have a team that not only cares for the film, but cares about me because they're taking the time to double, even triple check everything they're doing and the steps they're taking to get these shots off, to capture the sound, to make the environment look like it's supposed to. So it's just really great to see that puzzle just kind of halfway be completed, because we have a whole nother half of post-production to do, but just generally 50%
to get over that hump.
Get over that
hump photography.
Yeah,
because I feel like that's the big, like once you're over that hump principle of photography, assuming it goes well, you kind of, there's like a little bit of weight lifted because you're like, okay, we can actually do this. Because up until that point, until you get it in the can, you don't really know.
No,
like it could all fall apart.
Not.
Like you could be screwed, you know? Yeah. And I mean, films do break in post-production too, but I feel like it's more often in principal photography.
Well,
it's when something really
in principal photography, you can lose actors, locations,
exactly. You just
crew.
Never know.
Like you never know what can happen. And
dude, talk about the weather.
So beforehand, and I was checking the weather like crazy because majority of this film takes place outside, so it's all exteriors majority. So I was checking the weather over and over, and it was like sunny, and then this hurricane started to roll in, and it wasn't reaching where we are in Virginia, but there was some pre-rain before the hurricane, and the weather went from sunny every day to raining every day. So I was like talking,
and it's set in a summer camp.
Yeah.
Like in the 80s, like it's like a sunny, very, very sunny film.
It's supposed to be like
so you literally can't film
90s
it in the rain.
degrees.
Yeah.
So it's not supposed to look like it's raining all the time. So I was like talking to Josiah and talking to the crew. I was like, guys, it's going to rain like every day. And like, we can't push it back because we're in film school and this was my designated time to film it. So we were praying a lot for the weather to change. And luckily, so we move some things around where our interiors we actually push forward and our exteriors we push back in the schedule, and that worked out perfectly because the first day was full of interiors, so we were able to get ahead on our interiors and shoot while it was raining. And then the next day it was also raining, but it wasn't raining enough to where we couldn't film. It was just like a little drizzle where yes, the sky wasn't bright like we were looking for it, but it could go as accepting through editing and coloring and things like that. So we were like, let's just take advantage of shooting it. So we shot it. It turned out great that day. But the next day it was fully sunny. I was like, all right, guys, this is camp day. This is the day we've been looking for, and we're gonna take advantage of it. But we were ahead in a sense where we had planned extremely well the day before that we were actually able to reshoot the stuff from the previous day where it looked more sunny and it looked great. And
it was actually sad though because like we shot some of that stuff, some of the exteriors in like cloudy, and with our color grade, it looked so good. Like we went home and looked at the lab, and it was like it looked so good, but we're like, it doesn't work for the story. As good as it looks, it doesn't work. And so I was really glad for editorial that we were able to reshoot that because now it works perfectly.
That's definitely like we got lucky, like you just mentioned, because how well it looked with the dim light. Like it still works that we could technically use it.
Like you could say, because it's at a point in the story when it starts getting like a little more darker tonally, and so it makes sense for it to switch then. But also like it would just create like logistical issues. People
would get too confused. Yeah. So we were just lucky with the schedule working out and our planning.
But no, it was like literally. So those few days we filmed at the lake and it was sunny. It has not been sunny since then. It's been a week and a half of just pure rain. It's like literally I'm pretty sure that was like the last sunny day of the year.
Yeah,
it feels
because
like it.
Now we have got hit by that hurricane, and it's just bringing more and more rain to us. So it's just been raining every day.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, so what would you say? Obviously, scheduling aside, because that was a hard moment.
Yeah.
Were there any particularly like really hard moments you remember on set, either like externally or even like internally, just you as a person?
I wouldn't say there was like anything extremely hard, thankfully, and I'm very gracious of that because things could have gone terrible in a sense. We did have a crew issue in a sense where it was kind of the communication was a little rough. So it was a little stressful on my end because I'm a person that wants to provide for my crew because they're providing for me. So with this miscommunication with this one person in our crew, it was hard at times because I wanted to ensure that they were on set, and it just felt like they didn't want to be on set. So I kind of had to let them go in a sense where I was like, okay, like be here for this moment, but if you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. So that was kind of hard because I was kind of taking the role of directing and in their position in a sense at sometimes. So that was hard, but I'm still thankful for them because they did help with things. So I am thankful, but it was just stressful. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, there were definitely like stressful just in general moments on set, but it never really. So there weren't really any ever serious interpersonal issues. It was more just like because the situation was stressful, we were being like feeling stressed out. And there were one or two moments where I feel like people took that out on other people, but it was like within 5 minutes, the people apologized and made up, and it was like all cool. And
I also want to add, if anybody has projects coming up and you have a crew where you know everybody, if obviously there are going to be moments that when stress arises and maybe you might even get aggravated at a time, just remember to take a breath real quick and just talk it out then if you have the time. Like obviously if you're about to go for a take, don't talk then. But if you see that you're about to go to a different setup or you have a break coming up, take that person that you might have not argued with, or maybe you did argue with them, or just were like, hey, let's not do this. Yeah. Just talk with them real quick. Both of you take a breath and be like, hey, I'm sorry for how this came across. This is why I said it. Like definitely don't back down if it's something that was like important.
Yeah, hold your ground if it's
hold your ground,
an important practical thing.
Definitely give it the approach of maturity, and it's just going to go a long way on both sides because you're going to let that water go under the bridge, and it's just going to be peaceful.
Yeah. Yeah, and it goes along. Apologizing just goes a long way with people.
It does.
Even if it's like maybe it wasn't your fault originally. If you ever like, even if you're just apologizing for how you responded to something they did wrong, like it still really helps smooth things over.
Right. Yeah.
All right. What was like a funniest moment on set?
Okay, so the funniest moment on set, I think. So this is another little hint. We had a prop axe on set. It was completely fake, completely foam. That we got from a prop shop. So nobody could get hurt by it or anything like that. And we were demonstrating how to swing it in a way that would capture it on camera and how just running through the blocking of the shot.
And you were the one on the ground.
I was the one on the
floor
floor being swung at so I could tell the main actor and show him kind of what I was looking for in the sense. And the person that was swinging it like I told them. So there's totally nobody, like this is not anybody's fault. I'm not like saying nobody was hurt, anything like that. But he was swinging it and the top of the axe actually came off of the handle and hit me. And it was just funny because I wasn't expecting it. So it hits me. I wasn't hurt or anything.
It hit you in the neck.
It hit me in the neck. So it caught me off guard. It felt like a Nerf foam football hitting me, which is totally fine. Like again, I wasn't hurt and nobody was hurt or anything like that because it was completely foam. But it just was so unexpected. I just was dying on the floor laughing.
You were on the ground for like a minute and a half.
But I was just laughing and like.
But you couldn't afterward. You were like coughing because
that was because it did hit me directly in the throat. So it did hit me, and it came pretty fast. But we did put some glue on it, like some super glue and some prop glue on to make sure that didn't happen again to anybody. But it was just a funny moment because it was just so unexpected, and everybody was laughing. Again, nobody did get hurt or anything because it's completely rubber and foam. But yeah, that was a pretty funny moment.
That was pretty freaking funny. Not gonna lie. Yeah. Cool. Well, is there anything else for the Lost Ones you want to add? Like, dude, you finished photography on your thesis film. How does that feel, man?
I'm just thankful. Like I mentioned, like the crew was amazing to work with. Everybody was amazing. Everybody came with a work ethic that was great for the film, but also everybody came with a joyful mindset. Like it's felt like everybody wanted to be there and everybody wanted to be on this project that was there. So I'm very thankful for that. And I'm very thankful in a sense to be done with principal photography in a sense, but I'm also missing it because I love being on set. But I'm excited to see where it goes and the post production and everything. So yeah, that's what I'll say about the Lost Ones. And we'll keep it there. We don't want to give too much information away.
Yeah. You guys want to come to the showcase if you want to,
or if
watch it.
We're lucky to post it on
whenever
socials, wherever
after it hits the festivals, bruh.
Yes.
It's got festival potential.
It really definitely has festival potential.
All right. We're going to wrap this podcast out with our final segment, which is Rewind, which if you guys don't know, the way it works is that we both pick a film, preferably like a rare film that the other person hasn't seen, and we just give them the title, and the other person has to guess from the title what the film is about. You give them the title, you can give them the year, and then you can also give them like one hint. But then they have to guess the story, and if they're close, then we haven't. I guess like you win if you're close enough, and
we're gonna keep a scoreboard tally on like who got closer. I
still don't know how that's gonna how.
I don't know. I feel like we should have multiple points, but no,
I don't know.
Okay,
maybe it should be like how close, what percentage you earn, and then it just adds the percentages. So eventually we're gonna be like, yeah, I have 10,000%.
I have 10,000 percentage of you. Okay.
Anyways,
so
but you go ahead. What is my film?
we're gonna have a minute. You're gonna have a minute and a half. I changed
minute
it to
and a half.
Okay. The film title. Are you ready for this?
Yes, I'm so ready.
Minute and a half has started.
Okay.
Film title: Gaslight.
Gaslight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Gaslighting or gaslight?
No, Gaslight.
Gaslight. Okay. What year was it?
1944.
1944. I also chose a 40s film. That's crazy.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Gaslight. Oh, wait. 1940s. I was thinking it was like the gaslighting, like the modern phrase, but it's in the 40s. So now that makes me think, oh, okay. If it wasn't the 1940s, I would say it's like about. It sounds like it might be about like a crazy ex that's like psychotic, like a psychopath, like a horror psychological thriller type thing where it like tricks them to thinking what's happening is not actually what's happening. Mm-hmm. But it's in the 40s.
It is
so
in
now
the 40s.
Is it like about a gas leak that gets like a gas explosion of like a factory?
Guess? Is that what you're guessing?
I'm gonna go gas explosion. I think it's
so
a
that's
gas
your final
explosion.
guess.
That's my final guess.
The final
gas
guess
explosion.
is that he thinks Gaslight the movie is about a gas explosion.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what it's about. Okay, ready?
Hit me up.
After the death of her famous opera singing aunt, Paula is sent to study in Italy to become a great opera singer as well. While there, she falls in love with a charming Gregory Anton. The two return to London, and Paula brings to know strange goings-ons, missing photos, strange footsteps in the night, and gaslights that dim without being touched. As she fights to retain her sanity, her new husband's intentions come into question. So it is about gaslighting.
Yo, it's about gaslighting.
It's about
and
gaslighting.
It's called gaslight.
It's called gaslight.
But it's not the phrase gaslight.
But it's not the game.
That's
phrase
hilarious.
Gaslight. But it's about
hilarious.
making somebody go
and
insane.
it ends with him blowing up the house with
I don't know how
explosion,
it ends.
Right? It should.
It should end that way.
That's crazy.
But it's about
that sounds like a
gaslighting.
great film, actually. It's in the 40s, though, so I don't know.
It won the
Really?
Academic Award for Best Actress in a Leading Role.
Oh, fun. That's cool.
And the Rotten Tomato score is 90%.
Okay. I never trust Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm just throwing it out
I'll give a
there.
whole spiel.
I was just throwing it out there.
Okay. Your film is The Best Years of Our Lives.
Okay, timer is started. So
Yes, The Best Years of Our Lives.
Best Years of Our Lives.
Came out in 1946.
1946. Okay.
I never asked for a hint.
Yeah, you never asked. So I'm going to ask for my hint.
You're going to ask for your hint?
Yeah.
I haven't thought of a hint. The hint is the film was very timely. That's your hint.
And what's it called again?
The Best Years of Our Lives.
The Best Years of our Lives. And the hint is it's very timely.
Yes.
I'm definitely thinking this is about a couple or either a couple or family that one of them passes away while the other remembers the times that they had. That's my guess, okay? So a couple. I'm going to go with a couple.
Okay.
That's what I'm nailing down.
A couple.
A couple, and let's say the wife dies and the husband
dies.
like maybe sees something that he reminds him of the times that I have. So that's my guess. That's my guess.
Okay. Here's what it's about. This film came out in 1946. Is about 3 United States servicemen returning from World War II and readjusting to social changes and civilian life. The 3 men come from different social classes. Sorry, they come back from the war with different ranks that do not correspond to their social classes.
Okay.
And it's one of the earliest films to address issues encountered by returning veterans post-World War II era. So it literally came, the interesting thing about this film is it came out literally a year after World War II ended. So people came home and they made it. Like Hollywood was on it.
Wow.
And because like everyone in the United States was dealing with this thing.
Yeah.
And so that's what it's about. So it's about these 3 dudes and they do all have wives. So it was a couple, I guess.
It was a couple.
And it was about them getting this. No one died, I don't think. But basically, it's about them readjusting to civilian life and having a hard time doing so.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, so that's just what
I have
Wikipedia
not seen
says.
it either.
But it sounds interesting.
Does.
I'm just going through here. Yeah, some of them are like a drugstore, just a random drugstore worker or whatever, but they're like high ranking because of their time.
Right.
So like they have this, like people who respect them,
Okay.
but they also have to go back to these kind of lame jobs. So it's that weird dichotomy of like, I have all these medals, but I'm
So
also
it's
just
like
doing a
it's like
job.
coming off of World War II. It's like
Yeah.
trying to come back into life.
It's like PTSD stuff, I assume.
Oh, okay.
But it's more like, it seems like it's more about the social structure
Okay.
than necessarily like an internal battle.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's interesting.
Interesting.
So how do we do percentages with that then? Because
I don't know. I just think we should both get.
I definitely don't think you got a point.
I definitely don't think
I
you got a point either.
Because
I think we both got one thing right on each. You said it was
really?
a thriller, and it was a thriller.
But that wasn't my final guess, so I switched. Remember?
Oh, you did
I
switch.
switched to be a gas explosion.
And I said it
guess
was
gas explosion is still a thriller, but
I said it was a
know.
couple.
we'll figure out the scoring later. It's time to wrap up the podcast.
It is time to wrap up.
We will brainstorm about that, guys. Thank you so much for listening to Circle That.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us on Apple Music, Spotify, and not Apple Music, Apple
Apple
Podcasts.
Music.
Yeah, we're gonna
You can find us on the podcast app
and YouTube.
And YouTube. And follow us on
which
Instagram.
You found one of them because you're listening to this right now.
You did.
So you're on
You
one
found
of these,
us.
but you can find it on the other two as well. And yeah, follow us on Instagram for updates about the podcast, for polls, and all fun stuff.
Also, if you're listening on Spotify or on YouTube, leave a comment. Tell us what you're looking forward to in the film world or something that you just found out from this podcast. Love to read them, and maybe we'll shout you out on the next podcast. So, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.